right now. I thank you for new vision, even even with the commissioners, Lord. You're giving us new vision, new strategy, because, Lord, we know that without a vision, people perish. So I ask, God, that you bring us up to a new level, that we walk in unity and in love for our fellow man, and especially during this Thanksgiving season. Let us stop, Lord, and just be so thankful to you for what you're doing. And I ask for wisdom and guidance today. In Jesus' name, amen.
Amen. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Before we start the meeting, I want to take an opportunity to wish everyone a very safe and happy Thanksgiving, and that they can be with family, friends, and loved ones, and that by all means, please be safe out there. I know that in other parts of the country, they're expecting some very, very nasty weather, and if you're going to be traveling, by all means, please be safe, because we'd like to see you back here again. But I think from all of us here at the board to all of you, we appreciate what you've done and hope that you have a very happy Thanksgiving.
Could we recognize newly appointed Gary Madison as Freeport city manager?
Okay, Mr. Madison, would you like to be recognized as the new city manager or city clerk for City of Freeport? You are so recognized. Thank you for being here. Okay, we're calling this meeting to order. First order we have is to consider the additions and deletions to the agenda.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. The only addition we have is to request to advertise for a public hearing to be held December 22nd to consider a resolution electing the use of the uniform method of collecting non-ad valorem special assessments levied within the unincorporated area of Walton County. We'd actually approved this at the last board meeting for December the 9th, but we had an advertising error, so we need to move it to December 22nd. That'll be under admin.
And Commissioner, under my items, we're going to remove item number 3 and 4. We're still finishing the terms and conditions of the interlocal agreement. Nothing major, just some lawyerly changes, and that's at my request and no one else's.
And does this reflect, did we say us moving the board meeting to Monday?
We hope we'll take that action prior to voting to do this.
Okay. Motion to approve?
Second.
We have a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Okay, next I need a motion on the agenda.
Motion to approve as modified.
Second.
Have a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Next we have public comments. Anybody wants to make a public comment with regards to today's agenda? Okay, seeing none. Consent agenda.
Motion to approve.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. Any other discussion? All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. Mr. Jones.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. First, on behalf of staff, we want to say happy Thanksgiving to each of you commissioners, and thank you for a good year. We look forward to some great things as we finish up this year and move forward. And then welcome back to Commissioner Jones. Pleasure to have you. Congratulations on your election victory, and we look forward to working with you. Know that we're here to support any efforts you have that we can. First item is we're asking you to consider rescheduling the regular BCC meeting that's scheduled on Tuesday, December the 3rd, to Monday, December 22nd, due to the Christmas holidays, and that will be a morning meeting here, so at 9 a.m. here in Defuniak.
Motion to approve.
Second.
Have a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Next.
Next item is regarding a pump that we're in need of at the landfill. For those of you that may recall, 10, 12 years ago, we had a remediation project at the landfill due to some leachate. That's an ongoing process, and we're to the point where the collection ponds need to be pumped so that we can get into the bottoms of them and clean out the material that we have been collecting over the years. So we're requesting you approve purchasing of a pump in the amount of $10,604. We'll utilize the funds that were provided to us through the last agreement with Waste Management, where they did contribute $200,000 for us to use at a landfill as needed. So that's where those funds would come from if you would grant that approval.
Motion to approve.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any comments? All in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed, nay. Motion carries.
Next item, Commissioners, at our last board meeting, you gave staff direction to put some criteria together regarding economic development tax exemptions, how we would move those, process those requests. What you have in your packet is a synopsis of what we believe is a process that actually helps us get to where we may want to be. The first part of that you will see is where the board has the authority based on the state statutes, the actions the board took, and the results of a referendum in November of 2012 that granted the board the authority to use ad valorem tax exemptions for economic development purposes. The next section in your package is definitions from the Florida statutes, Florida Statute 196012, regarding definitions of new businesses and how the state statutes recognize those. And there's a number of criteria that they lay out, but of particular note is item B. It's on the third page of your backup material. It says any business or an organization located in an enterprise zone or brownfield area that first begins operation on a site clearly separate from any other commercial or industrial operation owned by the same business or organization. I've consulted with Mr. Davis to be sure my understanding of that language is clear, and from that conversation we've concluded that those businesses that are located in an enterprise zone, which in Walton County we have 3, and you'll see them on the map there. There's one in Mossy Head, the city of Defuniak Springs, and the city of Freeport, can be treated differently than the other criteria that's laid out in the statute, in that it gives you broad discretion of how you would approve exemptions for those businesses. Would you concur with that, Mr. Davis?
Sir. Yes, sir.
So as we move forward, that's one thing to keep in mind. The next item issue is talking about qualifying a business, and there's some criteria there that we think are important. And one is, does the business qualify per the statutes? And that could simply be being located in one of the enterprise zones. And item 2 is it indeed located in one of the 3 enterprise zones in the county? The third is, if it's in the Defuniak Springs or the city of Freeport enterprise zone, have those, either the specific municipality for that particular business, has it taken action to grant similar exemptions? We think that's important in that that would be their first line of government, and it's something we think you should consider as you look at granting these exemptions. We would perform an economic impact analysis. Then we would perform a level of eligibility analysis. The economic impact analysis will consist of the items that you see in the next section. Our financial department would perform those and provide a report giving the summary of the impact to the local economy of a particular business based on the information they provide to us. The level of eligibility analysis is a 2-tiered approach that investigates the investment that the company would be making and the wages of the new jobs they create. Certainly new job creation is important. We would think, and hope that you may agree, that the amount of wages is perhaps more important than the number of jobs. And we will, just to be clear, these would be wages that are on-site wages. If, for instance, if a company from Jacksonville opened an operation here with 9 employees, but they had to hire one in Jacksonville to do the HR for those 9 or some other means, that when they hired in Jacksonville doesn't count. They have to be on site in the county. So based on the information that they provide in their application, we would determine how much their investment is, and based on this chart, for instance, a $3 million investment would grant them no more than 40% of the available exemption for their ad valorem. You add to that what their total wages would be. For instance, if the total wages was $150,000, that would grant them another 20%. So the maximum that business could be granted would be a 60% exemption of their total ad valorem package. Then if you look down, there's two examples, one for the Tier 1 and one for the Tier 2. The second example works to create a maximum amount for larger scale businesses by adding their, calculating their annual investment, which is their total investment divided by 10 years, which the exemption can be for, gives you an annual investment, and you add that to the wages, multiply it by 2.5%, and I can tell you the 2.5%, there's nothing magic about it, but in working through this, we ran a number of scenarios using different percentages, and 2.5 seemed to be the number that said once you get to a particular size, and it's fairly large, that it establishes a cap on the dollar amount your exemption can be. So in a scenario where you ran both of those tiers, you in the example there, it won't exceed a certain percent of the tax available, nor would it exceed a certain dollar amount. So it kind of puts a twofold check into making sure that we're protected against the lower ends that's going to have a small investment, a small number of jobs, and the higher end, which would have a higher investment with a greater number of jobs. We would anticipate that any exemption you grant would be accompanied by a contract that would verify each year that what those folks told us they would do, they will do. Your statutes allow you to grant those exemptions for up to 10 years. We believe that through this stepped approach and the qualifying the percentages, even if you grant a 10-year exemption, it could most likely and certainly could be less than 100% of the taxes that you have the right to abate. So you could grant a 10-year exemption at 40% of the total. So on an annual basis, that particular business would be exempt from 40% of their eligible ad valorem taxes. Again, we would review that each year to make sure that they're still meeting the criteria that you set forth. So our recommendation would be one of three things: either tell us to go back and do some more work on it, tentatively approve what's been presented, and ask us to apply it to the current applicants and for your review, and make whatever adjustments we may see need to be made, or to approve it and move forward. And just to be clear, we're not asking to grant any exemption to any company today. We do have 3 that are pending. So as we move forward, we will deal with them ever how the board sees fit. So we have that for you for your comments or recommendations or any action you wish to take.
Chairman, I've got a couple of questions. One of them is, has the city of Freeport and the city of Defuniak gone through the process of asking their voters to implement the exemption process? Second thing is, I think if they have, then an applicant should start either at the city, those respective enterprise zones, and see what their position would be concerning that.
Commissioner, I'm not entirely sure that the cities actually have to pass a referendum. I think it's only the county. I'm not positively sure about that, but I'm almost certain of that. And the second thing is, the one applicant in Defuniak did go to the city and did get an ordinance passed granting the exemption.
Okay.
I don't think it
yeah.
applies to cities. I think I've read that somewhere.
I'm
Just
fairly certain of that, yes.
Any public comment? Any other board comment?
I'd just like to comment. I know we want to encourage jobs and we want to support our businesses, the ones that exist. We want to encourage them to expand because it brings in more jobs. I would like to take a real conservative approach. 10 years scares me, honestly. So when we're thinking about this, I would like to see maybe put some figures to the ones that have applied and let us look at that and see what that looks like. And then the time, I know each year they would come back and and we would make sure they're still doing what they said they'd do. But I'd like to see a conservative approach. We need to encourage more jobs, but we also need to protect our taxpayers.
Is it up to 10 years, or?
Yes, ma'am.
See, so we could grant anything from 1 year to 10 years, so it's up.
5
to
sounds good to me.
Yeah, so, and there again, I think, but I think y'all have done an outstanding job. You've done a heck of a lot of research and work and put into it. And I'd make the motion that we accept this and move forward and start evaluating the 3 that are currently in the pipeline to see what exemptions we want to give to them.
And I'll second that.
And Commissioner, I was wrong. The municipality would have to call a referendum, apparently.
So have they done that?
So we don't know if they've done that yet or not.
I would assume the city of Definiak had, because it
Anybody
granted,
here from the city?
it granted an exemption through an
Clayton's
ordinance.
nodding his head back there.
There's
Clayton's
Clay.
nodding his head, or Clay's nodding his head.
Clayton's nodding.
Yes, sir, we have done that for the city of Defuniak. I believe Freeport has as well. Again, Clay actually in the record, sorry. But yes, I know the city of Defuniak did renew it. The issue came up when we were looking at the county needing to renew it because it had already expired through the EDA. The city had renewed it previously, and I believe Freeport did as well, but Freeport falls on a different cycle than Defuniak and the county because they did it at a different interval when we were originally granted a rural enterprise zone. But so I believe both cities do have that in place. I know Defuniak has renewed their most recent one.
Okay. I guess my other question is, Triangle has gone to the city of Defuniak.
Actually, Triangle, their application process is before that. They're at the property appraiser now. He's reviewing to determine eligibility. Then he will send it to the city and to us.
All right, thank you.
Okay. Mr. Fletcher. I'm sorry.
I was going to ask, Miss Janice is sitting back there. Do you know if y'all have approved on the tax exemption, Miss Janice?
Not that I know of.
Okay, but it could have been before your time? Yeah.
Before you start, I would remind the public that when you come up to the podium, please state your name, spell your last name for the record, and for whatever reason that anyone might come up, we want decorum in the remarks, and please address the chair. Mr. Fletcher.
Thank you. My name is Bill Fletcher, Fletcher. I was just going to ask you, first I applaud the guidelines you've come up with to make this recommendation, but with the complexities and the amount of money you're talking about, I'd like to request you all have been pretty good at holding public hearings and making people more aware of something of this nature, especially when you look at the long-term economics of it. So that's just my request, if you would consider public hearings.
Are you talking about, Mr. Fletcher, whenever one comes before us, like?
No, just I think establishing the guidelines, if people feel comfortable with that and the criteria you come up with, I think being a part of that discussion would be very helpful to the citizens. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else? Okay, we currently have a motion and a second on the floor. All in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed? Ayes have it.
Thank you, Commissioners. We will get to work on applying those to the ones we have and have them for you, hopefully at the December 9th meeting, and then we can go from there.
And the public can comment at that time on those 3?
Sure.
Sure, I doubt the Triangle one will be ready.
Yeah.
It will most likely just be the 2.
Let me see. Item D, we're requesting, as we did, amended the agenda to advertise for a public hearing to be held on December 22nd to consider a resolution electing the issue to use the uniform method of collecting non-ad valorem special assessments levied within the unincorporated area of the county. And again, we approved this at the last meeting, but we had an advertising error, so we need to re-advertise and move it to the 22nd.
So moved.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. Any comment? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Nay. Motion carries.
Next item was regarding the new fire station down on 331. While we're erecting a metal building, we thought that it would be appropriate that we actually dress it up a little bit. So this request will allow us to put some split face block facade on the front The request is for $7,572. So we recommend your approval.
For those of us who are not in the construction industry, what's lit
Lit face,
faced block?
go look at Walmart.
Oh, okay. All right.
It's a concrete block that instead of having a smooth face, it has
Texture.
textures.
See if you said texture, I didn't know what you got.
Let me rephrase that. We're going to put some textured block on the front.
Thank you, I got it, okay. Motion to approve.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. All in favor, say aye. Aye. Motion carries.
Next item is regarding the contract for County Road 3280. If you recall, we recently opened the bids, or previously had opened bids that were substantially over the available funds. We rebid that with some changes to the specs. The bids came in. The low bid was Roberts & Roberts in the amount of $3,186,992, Wilmer? Okay. Somebody said there was an $8 change in it. I wanted to make sure. Okay. So $3,186,992. So this is a scrap project. That is within the budgeted amount. So we would recommend we approve the award to Roberts & Roberts.
Motion to approve.
Second.
Question.
Okay.
This particular roadway is in my district, and looking at the bids that were turned in concerning this project, this is about $1 million under the next bid. And I'm concerned that at some point in time that we're going to be changed, ordered to death. So I would just ask the board to direct Wilmer and his staff to make sure, whoever the project manager is for the county, to make sure that they meet the specs and also stay within the appropriate funding source.
Amen.
They will have to request in writing any change orders, is that
I
correct?
understand that, yes. So I would like for us to really scrutinize it. When you leave $1 million on the table, something somewhere could be shortchanged, if you will.
Ms. Thomason, you'll see those requests as well, so between you and Wilmer, please make sure the board's kept up to date on that. Thank you. Okay, we have a motion and a second on the table. All in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries.
Next item, Mr. Chairman, is in regard to the Mossy Head Industrial Park infrastructure and the appropriation from the legislature. We're asking you to approve a contract that will allow us to capture those funds as we move this project forward. This is a contract with the state. They're probably becoming the most difficult entity to contract with, so we're pleased we're finally to a point we can enter an agreement with them to capture those funds.
And Commissioner, before you vote on it, we basically got a message this was kind of a take it or leave it contract. I mean, there are some things in here we're not thrilled with, but they're the ones with the cash. So we did make a few very minor changes, but nothing substantive, so just want to let you know that.
What's the wishes of the board?
Motion to approve.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any other comment? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Mr. Bagby.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, Commissioners. Happy Thanksgiving, and congratulations to Commissioner Commander and Commissioner Jones on their re-elections, and we look forward to working with you for the next 4 years. We have one item on the agenda, and that's the request approval of the TDC Applicant Screening Committee. So far, we only have 3 applicants for 3 seats, but the window is not closed. It closes at the end of this week. By your policy, the screening committee consists of the TDC Executive Director, the County Administrator or his designated representative, and a County Commissioner. Last time, I think Stan was the representative for the County Administrator, and Commissioner Meadows was the County Commissioner. So we would ask that you appoint that committee.
Do we need to reappoint the people on the committee?
You can do that, or if you can appoint another representative, or you could appoint Larry.
We like Stan. Stan's good. He's our bulldog.
We like Stan too.
Mr. Jones, do you want Stan on there?
It doesn't matter. We like staying.
His representative, yeah.
And I take it that you're, in her absence, making, Ms. Meadows, by the way, Ms. Meadows is with family out of town today and could not be here, but you're using this opportunity to redesignate her on this?
Yes.
Okay, and who are the individuals that you have the applications for?
The seats are Gary Brillmeyer's seat and, not Lori's seat, Pam Averitt's seat, and then Commissioner Meadows would need to be reappointed. Her term expires at the end of this year, but that would be in the list that we bring back to you. The fire department, the South Walton Fire District, has already appointed Mr. Christensen to replace Maurice Gilbert.
Okay. So when you bring the list back for approval, I would suggest that you have Commissioner Meadows' name and Mr. Sunday's name on there as the...
Well, no, we need you to appoint because their terms expire at the end of December.
Okay, I have a point of.
When's your list coming back?
As soon as we screen all the applicants.
If Commissioner Meadows is up to be reappointed, can she serve on the committee that reappoints her? Mr. Davis.
I don't think you can be on the nominating committee and nominate yourself. I don't know, do your rules say anything different than that?
I'm not,
Didn't that exceed the board?
yeah. She did last time, so that's,
But I think the seat she occupies is a seat that this board appoints.
Right.
Oh, well then it's,
okay.
yeah, as long as the board appoints it.
yeah, the board appoints her seat.
All
Yeah.
right, then,
I'm
Does this
sorry.
require a vote?
yeah.
Yes.
Yes, I make the motion.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Let's appoint Cindy Meadows and Stan Sunday. And Mr. Baker.
And Mr. Baggett, yes.
Okay. A motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries.
Subject to your questions, that's all we have. Happy Thanksgiving.
Okay. Next, we have Mr. Davis.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I have,
Davis, before you get started,
oh,
I have to recuse myself on your item.
sure. I have three items now that we've removed two. The first is a request to approve and authorize the chair to sign a professional services contract between the firm of Wade Palmer Shoemaker, PA, to represent Commissioner Commander in case number 07CA 000889. Ms. Commander has been sued individually, and pursuant to Florida statutes, the commission is authorized to retain an attorney to represent her. I had vetted a number of attorneys and decided on this way. One of the advantages of having this firm is this case is actually being litigated in Santa Rosa County, and this firm's out of Pensacola, so the travel costs would be negligible.
Any board comment?
Board, motion to approve.
Second.
Any other comment? Okay. We have a motion and a second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
None opposed? Motion carries.
Somebody want to tell Ms. Commander she can come back? I don't know. Maybe she doesn't want to vote on that.
She on her way? Go on with your second one.
Oh, sure. Commissioners, the next item is a request to approve a contract with J&P Construction Company for the construction of the actual wastewater treatment facility at the Mossy Head Industrial Park. You previously approved the grant contract. This is the actual construction contract.
And if you'll recall, at the time we awarded the bid, we were instructed to do value engineering and negotiations to get that price down as low as we can. Our budget was $4.4 million, and this came in at 3.97.
3.97, I believe.
So we were able to achieve that, our goal of getting below the budget amount.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any other comment? All in favor, say aye. Aye. Opposed? None. Motion carries.
Commissioners, the last item is number 5, a request to, we're asking you to approve and schedule a special meeting to hold an executive session on December 9th, 2014 at 3:30 p.m. at the South Walton Courthouse Annex to discuss case number 2012-CA-193, Fred DeFrancis versus Walton County. The purpose of the executive session would be to discuss possible settlement negotiations, and if not settlement negotiations to approve, then to finish up litigation strategy.
Motion to approve.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any other comment? All in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed? None. Motion carries.
Thank you, Commissioners.
Mr. Chairman, the public hearing that is scheduled, we recommend that we remove this from the agenda. This will be the third time it would have been continued. I believe there's some more preparation that should be done. We'll notify the folks involved that when they are prepared, we'll be glad to re-advertise it. But at this point, I think it'd be most prudent that we just remove it from the agenda.
So moved.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. Any other comments? Seeing none, all in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed? None. Motion carries. Okay, Commissioner Meadows is out of town. Vice Chair Commander.
Yes, I've talked with the people in the city of Defuniak. As y'all well know, we have been trying hard for a couple of years now to get a dental school here in Walton County in Defuniak Springs. They've already bought their property. I understand they've bought equipment to go in the building. They went to the state and asked for help with funding, which to me was a no-brainer. It brings in a number of jobs. It is a dental school. It would, but the Tallahassee folks did not see fit to help fund them this last time. We're asking that we take it back to them because this is going to be a financial hardship on these folks, and we don't want to lose them. So we're asking that we pass a resolution asking for help with the funding for the dental school. And that's my motion.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. Any other comment? All in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion carries.
I have one more thing.
Just an add-on?
This is an add-on, In the spirit of Ronnie Bell,
Oh, God.
just want to wish everybody happy Thanksgiving, but for me, please, I know that the ball games are in the afternoon, so you have all morning to come to Hometown Christmas on Saturday. We hope to see you there.
Actually, one of the games is at night, so.
Oh, see, there you go. Come to Hometown Christmas. We start at 8 o'clock on Saturday morning.
Thank you. Commissioner Jones.
Just happy Thanksgiving. I wish you and your family the best.
Commissioner Chapman.
Likewise, happy Thanksgiving to all the staff and our citizens of this county. Thank you.
And I echo those comments, and I thank you all for your participation today. Any other public comments? Seeing none?
One comment before we leave, Mr. Chairman, just to remind the commissioners that it's time to be working on our legislative priorities and what we're going to ask the legislature for next year. So we'll be formalizing that shortly, so just keep that in mind. And if you have any questions or anything staff can help you with on it, let us know.
Could we ask that they refund that money that we gave them for the bridge?
Sure.
No further comments? Motion adjourned. Meeting adjourned.